in this society we live, I can adapt. And if I made it once, I know that I can make it back. What's opinions or a fact? I've been climbing. Now what they call procrastination, I see perfect timing. It coming where we from, no, not the city, but the bottom. No hope and resolutions when you know you was the problem. I told Dre it ain't like I'm really done with lectures, so I done what's best for me. You ain't a failure for investing in your dreams. And when that day should come, I earned it all relentlessly.
Welcome to another episode of The Mentee, where you learn skills to pay bills. And right now we're in the middle of our wellness series. We've had some phenomenal guests, and today is nothing shorter. Like, the brother is dynamic, man. Like, at a young age, wanting to also impact young lives as well. With just what he does in the community with the Operation Summer Exposure. And just so many different things that he's active and a part of. Like, it's just an amazing gem to be able to just meet somebody so dynamic, wanting to do so many phenomenal things for everyone else, you know? And so, without further ado, the brother River Lewis. I appreciate you being on, man. Hey, thank you, man. So, you know, I already know what you do, but just for those that don't know, you know, just tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, and you know what you're about.
All right, so I started a nonprofit while I was in Morehouse College. I ended up getting a community service scholarship called the Bonner Scholarship. And basically what happens is they will pay a portion of my tuition, books and fees and things. In turn, I would do something that I already love, which was community service. I think both my mother and my grandmother served as huge pillars within my community. Seeing them kind of be active within the community definitely instilled in me the foundation, as well as the drive and the light to kind of want to be the change in my own community. So when I started the nonprofit, it really started as me just wanting to take a group of boys that I mentored through the program down to a summer camp that I had attended as a child. For many years, I went there the first time. I think I was like 11 or 12, and then as soon as I turned 14, I was able to work at the camp, and then from there, I worked at the camp every single summer from 14 up until the age of about 22. So it played a huge part in the psyche and development of my own self, being able to be out there immersed within nature, doing different things like learning how to fish, learning different knots, learning different like wilderness survival techniques to kind of get me thinking and get my mind moving. I think my grandmother, so I took a trip with my grandmother. She lives in Whitesville, North Carolina. It's probably like 3 or 4 hours away from Charlotte. But I'll never forget how I came up with the creation of Operation Summer Exposure. So me and my grandmother would drive, we'd go down to Whitesville, come back. It was somewhere around 3-4 hours, and when we would drive there, she would always be like, she wasn't the type to fall asleep in the car. So she was just like, yeah, I'm gonna stay awake and we're gonna have a full conversation full time. And it's just like, it was beautiful because it's like I didn't get to spend that much time with my grandmother in my adult years. Like as a child, like, you know, we were at her house every Sunday, you know, going to church and things like that. But as an adult, it was a little different. So I think for me, there was this one particular time when we went to Whitesville, we were coming back, and she told me, she was like, you know, God doesn't always have time to be here, to help bless certain people, to see what they'll do with those blessings that He's given. So when I thought about that, that was kind of like the core of what made me want to start this project, because I saw how much that 1 week of summer camp that was afforded to me when I was 11 and 12. By the way, my mom couldn't pay for it, so someone donated the money for me to go. How that impacted my life, and I just wanted to be able to give that to someone else. I think it's all about giving, you know, as corny as it sounds. In life, all the riches that you're going to receive through others. So I think being in a space of gratitude and always operating from a point of how can I give will always put you at the head of the line. So the Operation Summer Explosion has really been like, it's turned into an amazing project and an amazing platform that's allowed me to be within my community, but also to play a part in the growth and development. But this nonprofit helps me a lot. And people are like, oh yeah, you do so much, and I'm like, man, this nonprofit and the people that I meet are able to like pour into me so that I can become a better person. So I know it's two ways. You feel me? I'm receiving and I'm giving.
Sure, and I think that's what it is all the time, man. Like, because sometimes it's as if you're giving, but you're receiving so much more.
Always, and you always receive more. But you have to give with you have to give in a place where you're not expecting anything in return. Because people are like, oh yeah, I can do all this, do all that. And what are people gonna do for me? And it's like, it's not about that. It's about, you feel me, like you giving from an honest place in your heart, and then kind of just like letting your environment kind of just form around that. Because like if you give from like the sweetest spot in your heart, then you're always gonna receive tenfold. And that's how it's honestly been. It's like the scholarship that I got, I ended up taking someone else's scholarship. You feel me? To go to Morehouse. Yeah, like it was nothing but divine timing, but it was beautiful because it put me in the space to never doubt what could happen next. Like it's like, you know how sometimes it's like people say, oh, you can start a fight with one arm behind your back if your psyche isn't ready, like if you don't believe you can do something. But it's like, I remember when so I never knew about Morehouse. So I knew about Morehouse, but I didn't get a deep interest in it until my senior year at A.L. Brown. And I remember the first time I saw like the website and everything, and I was like, that's where I want to be. I was like dead set. I was like, I stopped filling out applications to all the other colleges that I wanted to go to. I was like, this is the place that is going to cultivate my mind for me to be the leader that I want to be, and the leader that this community needs, So I just remember like seeing like the representation of like what strong black males look like, and I wanted to be that, and I became that because it was just like, when I saw it, it was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. So I just remember thinking in my head, like, this is where I want to be, this is where I'm gonna be, and I didn't know it cost over $50,000 a year to attend Morehouse. I was like, man, I was like, what? But that didn't stop me. Like, I remember getting my acceptance letter, and I remember thinking, yo, it's $50,000 to go to Morehouse. So I'm gonna find this money, and and that's how I internalized that and I visualized it. You feel me? So it was just like, once I got to that space, there was absolutely nothing that I couldn't accomplish, because I just knew that this was the space. Like, I felt it in my heart and I believed it. So it was just like, once I was able to feel those type of feelings, it put me in a space where I was just like, yeah, this is where I need to be, this is what I need to do.
And see, and you know what? I've been watching Naruto. Mm-hmm. That's kind of been like the saying.
These animes that we watch, they drop so many gems to real life. Like even what is it, Avatar: The Last Airbender? Yeah. All of these animes drop real gems and real life scenarios that you can relate to, because it's all about the mind. So it's like the body follows the head. You feel me? So if your mind isn't right, then it's hard for your body to act right. You know what I mean? Because the body's led by the head. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I got this saying from head to hand, man. And it's just amazing because really my whole kind of since I really started tapping into anime, for sure, I've been starting to mold more of a creative mindset. But one of the things that I noticed that Naruto says all the time is, believe it. And I was like, the most amazing thing. Because even though it's supposed to be a kid's show, it's not a kid's show. It's for anybody.
Right.
But it's like forming that ability to really get that mindset of, I put it in my mind and I believe it. Like if I said it, I'm gonna believe it. And if this is what I'm putting out there, I believe it. And with your story, with you saying, I'm gonna get this money. It wasn't like,
there's no other option.
I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't think I can do it. I'm gonna go somewhere else, man. I gotta find something else to do. Like, I'm gonna get this money. That's an affirmation. Like, you believe that in your spirit. Like, this is where I want to be. It doesn't matter what else comes my way. Like, I'm going to get this money to do this. And then you utilize that opportunity, getting a scholarship that wasn't even really yours at first, but it was yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was destined for you, and for it to mold your journey and take you on this ride. Like, man, and now you're pouring into other black young men or other young men in general. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
like,
I think it all really started with just me wanting to do that for myself. Like, I'm one of 6 children on both my mom and my dad's, so it was just like it's like 4 girls and 2 boys out of each set. And though I didn't grow up with my brother on my father's side, I did grow up with my brother on my mother's side, but it was never like he was never like a big brother, if that makes sense, you know. So it was just like through me kind of searching for that, it's like I became who I needed the most as a kid, and I wanted to provide that to others because I know how much it meant to me, so I could only imagine what it means to others. You know, so it's just like I thought about that and just the role that, you know, we play, because like mentorship is everything. You feel me? Like I remember mentoring when I was like a senior at A.L. Brown. You know, like I remember mentoring even before that because I was in Boy Scouts and I was a senior patrol leader. You feel me? Even before that, when I was working at Camp Barnhart, you know, teaching kids how to swim. You know, or teaching like canoe and merit badge or the water sports merit badge. Like, I think I think mentorship is an essential part of cultivating a mind so that it will go out and create, you know. So like that's kind of how I feel about like the mentorship aspect, because you know even like to this day, like now I have like 4 or 5 like black men that are my mentors that are just like on it, you feel me? And it's just like I remember going to Morehouse and being like it's like everybody was the cream of the crop from where they came from. So it was just like all time. So it was just like being in that atmosphere put me in a mode mentally where it was like, I gotta get up and get it. And it was like no other way. There was no other way, because it was just like everybody around me was going so hard. I could not be the only person that wasn't like putting my energy, my focus into something. Like everybody has a different path, and like my path may be different from your path, and your path may be different from someone else's path. But you have to kind of find your own light and then speak from that.
Yo, this is amazing.
Yeah, nah.
I'm sorry, I just had to take in what you said, man. That is, wow.
Yeah.
Because that is like everything to me, man. Because growing up, I had a similar need for wanting that leadership and that mentorship. And when I got older, that's when I found it.
Yeah.
You know, I have like strong people that I call, and I'm just like, hey man, like I need advice for this. Like I want to take this journey. I want to do more business wise. I want to do more family wise. I want to do more with my health. And like once I found those resources, like that's what kind of got me to the Mentee channel.
Yeah.
And it's like I want to build more with people like yourself and just different other strong, dynamic people out in the universe that people need this.
Yeah,
you know, they need great conversations, great people that they can turn to and can really get that leadership and that guidance. Absolutely. And that's why when I seen that when you were doing the summer exposure, as a kid, we didn't have that like that.
Exactly.
Man. Like growing up, they did not have many avenues for us around our city. Like, but one of the biggest things that most people that are successful and that are like just doing things out in life or doing big things is the exposure.
Yeah.
Like you said, the energy, being around people that were doing things that was bigger than what you felt like you were doing at that time, it made you and pushed you and molded you. And like whenever you start communicating with those people, you feel that fire. Like you like, hey, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I
exactly.
knew before.
It
Like
was
I'm
like,
not doing enough.
I knew it. Nah, bad. And it'll put you into that space, and it's not to compare, you feel me? Because everybody has their journey, but it's like, it's like, what am I doing for my community? Like, how am I being a pillar? How am I adding to what's already been done? How am I setting the example? You feel me?
Yeah.
So I think it's huge, and it's just like, I think what's important, especially for young black and brown children, is seeing someone that looks like them in these positions of power and leading that make them want to go after that same thing. Because it's like we have too many people within our community that, I don't want to say don't set the right example, but they don't set the right example. And it's not to, compare anybody's journey or to diminish what anyone's gone through. But I think it's extremely important for us to set the example for the next generation. That's why that exposure piece is so huge to Operation Exposure. Because my whole idea with coming up with it is providing a space for adolescent boys that come from a low economic space, or socioeconomic space, to put them in the position to dream and think bigger. Like I remember one of my mentors, his name is Matthias, he told me, he was like, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And I said, yo, that's facts, like that's facts. So I was just like, wow. So from that point, it was just like, oh yeah. It was like, oh yeah. I was like, I need to dream bigger, because like the dreams that I was dreaming, there were things that I knew I could accomplish. You feel me? So it was just like, what's the point? Like if your dreams don't scare you every day as you go into it, then it's not, then they're not good for dreams. Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Yeah.
It's kind of like in that saying, I can't remember exactly who said it, but if you shoot for the moon, or you shoot for the moon, you at least land in the stars. And like that was something that I just always carry with me. I can't remember who said it, but that was like one of the things that sparked me as a young kid hearing that, and I'm just like, dang, like at least I'm going for it.
Like you gotta aim, you gotta have that focus. You feel me? Because it's like it's nothing without the focus. Like you have your eyes set on the prize, shoot for that, but you have to be like, you have to believe it in your heart. You feel me? And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like you don't lead with a heart nowadays. Like everything that I've done with this nonprofit, everything that I've done with health and wellness, everything that I've done just within my own community, I've done it with my heart. You feel me? Like my heart has been in it, and that's why it's been successful. You feel me? It's because it's like I'm living from my heart. It's like these different things. It's like I know that they will benefit from it because I benefit from it. But not saying that like me, but it's just like as a kid I know that I would benefit from it. So it was always like, oh yeah, it was a no-brainer. You feel me? So it's been quite an amazing thing, because it's just like the more you dedicate yourself to giving to others, the more the universe will open doors for you to meet other people that are also doing the same thing, to make it like a community, to make it like a group effort. Like you never want to feel like you're the only person out here, but it's just like work doesn't seem like work when you're around people that you love, you cherish, that you care about. You feel me? So that's why like community is so essential. Like this spot right here, like my mentor put me on here, right? Started coming here almost every day, and it's like now I'm working here on the weekends, so it's just like the community aspect is so essential, because it puts you in that space to feel gratitude. And I think that's extremely essential to anybody that's trying to do anything in the world, is gratitude. It's like waking up and being grateful. There's more than just being like, oh yeah, I'm grateful. It's like to feel it and to internalize it within your mind, body, and spirit. Because like, man, like there are days where I'm like, yo, I'm tired, but you know, I was given this opportunity, I was given this chance, so it's like, you gotta take it. You know? One of my homies, his name is Coffee. He'd be like, every day is a new life, you know, and I'd be like, yo, that's like, you know, every morning he'll tweet it, and I'd be like, yo, like that's it, like that's it. So
that's beautiful, man. Like that's beautiful. Like that's why when I feel what you're saying, appreciate today. Like, because the biggest thing for me, I look and see left and right, you know, killing us, talking about all the negative that's going on in the community.
Right.
But at the same time, we have spots like this that are providing wellness, great food, great vibes. Like, come in with great energy.
And you see your culture all around you. You know, it's like that's an important part. I would like pinpoint. Like, seeing your culture is like essential. You feel me? Especially for us, you know, people of color. It's just like, you know, seeing where you come from and what you look like, what you've been able to do in the past, plays into how you move towards the future. You know?
Exactly. And especially like if you've never been to the motherland, you at least feel closer by the different art and the sculptures and just having the good vibes with people that look like you and that are like just embracing you. Because at the end of the day, like to me, I feel like everybody is beautiful. I feel like everybody has the beautiful traits about them.
Right.
Because that's, regardless, it's really internally.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like you have the opportunity to be whoever you want to be every day.
Absolutely.
Right? We could be the most destroying, damaging people, right? Or we can be grateful, we can be giving, we can be loving, we can be caring if we choose to be. Right? Because every day is a choice. Everything is not always perfect, but at the end of the day, it's your choice, right? And so if we have the ability to be phenomenal and be awesome and just live a beautiful life, why not be that? Why not be abundance? Why not be able to provide those abilities to have the right mindset? Show what it's like to have that right mindset, you know, and be around people that want to provide that for you and themselves as well.
Absolutely.
You know?
No, that's essential, and I feel like that's really important when it comes into like finding your tribe, and kind of finding your group of people that you mesh with, that you know y'all are at the same place, or y'all are on the same frequency, y'all are vibrating at the same frequency, and y'all are able to communicate in an efficient way that also brings uplift to your people, to your culture, and to self. You feel me? Like, I think that's essential. I actually just got back from Tanzania. I thought it was pronounced Tanzania, but it's actually pronounced Tanzania. Yeah. So I've been saying it wrong for a while. So I went out there. Me and my mother took a trip for about 3 weeks, and
awesome.
Man, it was beautiful. Like just to put my feet within the soil. Just to breathe the air, just to be around my people. It was just like it was like I never experienced anything like it. But I also think it was like a release of fear, a release of guilt, a release of sadness, a release of all these emotions. And it was like a renewal, right? So it's just like now that I've been able to see where I come from, what we've been able to do, it gives you a whole new aspect of life. Because it's just like, in some spaces in Africa, it's like people have less, but they're so in tune with self more, they're so in tune with the world around them, with nature. You feel me? They're gonna live a long, beautiful life because they're so in tune with that. While, no shade to, the United States, but we're over here. And I remember as soon as I got back and I touched down, it was like noise. It was like noise, just noise. And it was just like more than just like noise that I can hear. It was like psychological noise. It was like I felt like I walked back into like an anxiety highway where everything is just like, it was just, I felt like I was being bombarded by this world and how we live, and it showed me that like we're not living the right way, we're not in tune with ourselves, we're not in tune with the land, and it showed me like where I lacked and where I need to go.
But it's, there's no diss to anybody's journey. I feel like the main thing here, right, is to get 1% better every year. You feel me? Like it's all it is, because it's just like my journey is way different from your journey. Your journey is way different than someone else's journey. So it's not about comparing journeys. It's about understanding that you have a mission that you have to complete while you're here. So it's just like the more that you're able to turn into self, the more you're able to unlock what that is and listen to your intuition. Because it's just like, your ancestors will guide you. Your intuition will guide you. You feel me? Everybody that's come before you will help guide you. Because you have to be quiet enough to be able to listen.
Right.
So, it's just one of those things, man. But yeah, so the health and wellness piece, man. So I was vegetarian for about 6 years, and I've been plant-based for, I believe, like the last year and a half now, almost a year and 3/4. And I remember like my whole, why I wanted to become vegetarian is I want to have a lot of kids. Right? But I looked at it from this standpoint. I was like, I'm looking at a printer, right? A printer wants to make a copy, an exact copy of what's been put into it, right? So it's just like, if you look at printer and the inks, it's like you got low quality inks and you got high quality inks, right? So it's all about the type of ink that you're putting in your body. That's why that wellness piece is so serious. It's like, I see myself as a copyist. Like, I don't want my children to deal with different health concerns that my family has dealt with, right? Because it's just like, everybody after me will be healthy. You feel me? Everybody after me will understand the importance of what we eat and how it affects our mental, physical, and spiritual existence, right? So I think it's like, I'm trying to be selfless in that aspect, because I think that the health and wellness piece is just essential to our culture. And it's like, we don't talk about that enough, how it's essential to our culture. It's just like, everybody's like, oh yeah, soul food, this is our culture. Like, let me go and eat, chitlins and fried chicken and all of this and this. There's no disrespect to anybody eating fried chicken, you feel me? The goal is to get 1% better every day. But it's just like, till somebody can show me the nutrition and ham hocks and pig feet and chitlins and any of that.
Right.
Then I'm still waiting, because like none of that food is gonna help, propel you forward, right? And it's like, you are what you eat, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, you gotta be careful nowadays in these streets, right?
Nah, for sure. That's the biggest part for me. Like with this wellness part, in the wellness series, it's been so dope because I love eating like fruits and vegetables and the way that they feel. You feel so energetic.
Yeah.
You feel different after not really eating meat like that. Like, the one thing that I will say I still eat is like fish.
Oh yeah,
But
I
I still eat like vegetables and fruit just majority of the time. Like, that's my main. So I can't really classify myself as a full-blown vegan or vegetarian. Cause
I don't even like using the word vegan, because I don't consider myself a vegan. I consider myself raw, because vegan used to eat like vegan meats and all this other stuff, and it's just like half of those products have chemicals that are sometimes worse than meat, so you really gotta like be careful and like know what you're putting in your body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's about like just trying to eat more organic food, just really less ingredients.
Exactly.
Now some of it, I ain't gonna lie, it's highly expensive.
Oh yeah. And see, that's the thing. It's like when you get into the vegan meats and stuff, because people are like, oh, how do you live this lifestyle? And you're paying all this money. It's just like, you got to get whole foods and whole grains. Different things that like add. If you're in there trying to get like a Beyond Meat, burger, you feel me? That's like $10. Yeah, it's like $10. Or I'm not sure how much it is, right? It's expensive, right? It gets expensive once you get to those like vegan meats, like and stuff like that, because it's like, it's not really real.
Yeah, I personally don't like those either, but Like, I'd much rather have a black bean burger than a Beyond Meat or any of that. Like, because to me, all of that is still genetically altered. You know what I'm saying? And even if they say it's non-GMO, like still,
like, you don't really know. Like they could just slap this label on there and be like, yeah, this doesn't have pesticides in it. Meanwhile, whole field is getting sprayed with pesticides.
all the time.
All the time. It's just.
So you just make sure you clean your vegetables and your fruit before you eat it, and you just continue to try to eat the better things for you. At least because this is the stuff that's going to give you the better chance of living healthier, right? And so, like, but I do want to get to the point to where like I'm majority juice or majority plants for the most part, because I still, you know, want to keep my size. I don't want to get frail or anything like that. Cause I'm a pretty big guy, but it's like hard for me to know that even though I'm a big guy, I know that I need to eat healthy. You know what I mean? And so like I'd much rather eat healthy. You know, keep my size, keep my frame, and you know, just live a happy life.
Man, I think that's what it's about. Like, it's like everybody has their own journey, and it's about finding what works for you. You know, because what may work for me may not work for you. What may work for you may not work for me. You know, so it's just like honoring everybody's journey, because that's the whole goal here is just to give, especially our people, to think a little bit more critically about the food that they eat and the food that they put in their body. But it's more than just the food, it's the music they listen to, because that's part of your health. It's the books that you're reading, that's part of your health. It's the people that you're keeping around yourself. You know, that's all, these are all parts of your health. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because, so it's just like, you know, eating is just one aspect of holistic living and holistic wealth. You feel me? It's just one aspect, right? Because it's just like, you can eat all the greens you want, you feel me? Like, if you're keeping a whole bunch of knuckleheads around you, if you're listening to animalistic music, then it's like, you're gonna go in that same circle, not really get anywhere, and then you're upset like, oh, what's going on? But what I will say is, when you eat more, like when you're eating more fruits, you're eating more vegetables, it changes your thought process. It changes how you think. It changes how you go about solving different problems and all of that. So it's just like I can definitely tell between myself, like the shift between how I would act and how I would kind of move when I ate meat versus when I didn't eat meat, and just the change in that. You feel me? It's just like you have to understand that, like, I don't know, it's just like sometimes we let our ego kind of get in control and think, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this at this time. When you understand that, like, life isn't a race. Like, slow it down, you feel me? Like, you have time, like, don't put yourself in a crunch, because it's like when you brush and you do all these different things, you open up this avenue for all types of mistakes. So, you know, so it's just like kind of keeping your space. That's why, like, the community is so essential. You feel me? It's just like when you're around other people that are also doing the same thing, it puts you in a whole different space. It puts you, it helps you become a part of like a greater movement, in a greater space, you feel me? But it's like everybody's, you know, at their different spot within their journey. But it's just like it's real cool to see other people out there. And it's just like y'all able to feed off of each other, you feel me? Because it's a nice little, like, you know, health and wellness kind of like small community here in Concord, and it's growing. It's getting bigger and stronger. We're starting to get more plant-based restaurants and juice bars and different things like that. And it's like, you know, essential to a lot of these businesses that are black-owned businesses, right? So it's just like that representation, especially on that economic side, is huge, you feel me? Because as a kid, you feel me, you don't know anything outside of what you see. So that's why it's just like we have to be particular with what we let them see.
It's all about the exposure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my whole kind of thought process with Operation Exposure, because it's more than just a nonprofit. Like, it's way more than that. I know it to be a lifestyle. You feel me? It's something that is just like, it puts you in a space where it's like, wow, like,
I can do that. Like I remember we did an exposure retreat back in 2019 where I had a author, a barber, a chef, an artist, and a photographer come up to a house that we rented, the money that we raised, to basically hold sessions on their profession. Right? And it was just like the point of it was to expose these young men to entrepreneurship and what it looked like. All these brothers, were in color, but it was just like, it was a blessing because they were able to see something. They were able to touch something. It was tangible. It was just like, yo, this is what you do. They were just like dropping gems to the boys, going through the whole photography thing, doing the chef thing. We let the boys like cook their own meals and stuff like that. So it was just like that. The whole basis of my nonprofit is really surrounded around the effects of exposure and what it means, especially to the mental. And if you want to get into the science of it, so for my capstone, graduating from Morehouse, on my capstone, I studied what was it? What was the name? It's just like left my mouth. All right, so it was how do summer enrichment camps help facilitate self-image of adolescent boys that come from a socioeconomic background? And it was just like what I found, like through my own data, right? Like taking these boys to camp was introducing them to a whole different environment outside of their primary root of socialization, which is like their mother, father, aunts, uncles, direct family, and putting them in a whole different environment, introducing a routine to them, introducing a team building to them, introducing different things that they have never done, and also helping them conquer like different fears, like heights and stuff like that. That helped raise self-image in these adolescent boys, that helped them become far more confident. It's just like what I saw. I was like, wow, this makes complete sense. I was like, this makes complete sense. It's like when you put these boys in a whole different environment, especially like a calm environment like nature. It's just like we are nature, we come from nature. You feel me? So it's just like they were able to exist within this space that at first was foreign to them because they hadn't spent a lot of time outside. And to go into this space of just like solitude, calmness, and to learn these different skills, it is something mentally to them that will change them for the rest of their life. And that's what it did to me, but I didn't realize it was that. So like as an adult, being able to provide actual framework and a theory behind it was just like amazing. Like I had some amazing professors at Morehouse, Dr. Bryan, Dr. Welcher, Dr. McKinge, Dr. King, Dr. Peterson, like that all played a huge role in my development. Because I was a sociology major. So it was just like, it was amazing. It was amazing to see, that happen and me to be able to pull real data. Like this is how they felt before, leading up, and this is how they feel after. It was just like amazing. So it was just like, to me, I knew I had to be in the community.
Right.
I knew I had to be in the community because it was just like, for what I stand for and for who I am, it would make no other sense but to be here because this is where my heart is at. You feel me? So it was just like, man, it was crazy. But I remember being like, wow, like this is crazy, and just like seeing the faces, because I'm extremely observant, like, and just watching them go through the camp and do different exercises that we put together was just amazing, because it was just like watching their interests peak. Well, not peak, but watching their interests just kind of like light up, and just kind of seeing that was just like, wow. Like, all right, like they're like that exposure, it's huge, because they wouldn't have known if they weren't exposed to it, And that was the whole thing with me. I would have never known if I didn't expose to it. So it's like people like, oh, like how do you do it? I think it's like, why wouldn't you want to give back? And I don't see it as like, oh, like how you doing all of this? Like, I see it as like they're pouring into me just as much as I'm pouring into them.
You can learn from kids too.
Yeah, oh, what, man?
You
So
learn
you
so
can
much
learn
from
so
kids, man.
much from kids because they're so raw. You feel me? Like they're like it's before you feel me? It's before like we're indoctrinated into how we're supposed to act in the society and how we're supposed to do this and do that and stuff. So it's just like man, they'll give it to you real. You're just like, and it's really pivotal to get them at that age or between like 10 and 13 because that's right when they're starting to kind of like they've created self already, but they're starting like they're kind of getting a little bit more acclimated to their friends in school, and they're starting to kind of create their own identities and personalities around everything. You know, so I just think that's like it's a critical age. You know, you can still get them after that, but it's a little easier at like 10 and 13. You know, 10 through 13. So
it's one of those more delicate ages for sure. Cause like even I see it amongst my children. 'Cause I have a 14-year-old, and like I still notice how the difference is for her amongst with how she interacts with her friends and how she goes through the things that she goes through. And then I still have, you know, a 7-year-old that's coming up, you know, right behind her.
Right,
and I'm like, man, just watching the two kind of the differences between them and watching them grow, and then also not in comparison to my journey, but also going through what I went through in my journey at the age that I was 10, 11, 12, 13. Like I can see how those were big ages because I see the motive. For one, I was finding out about her at the age of 13, you know, and about to become a dad, you know, and at 14, becoming a dad, you know, and still not even really knowing what a dad is.
Like
my dad had our relationship that we had.
Wow.
You know, and so it was just like molding myself into being a better father and learning her throughout this time was just kind of like big, and seeing her now turn to the age that I was when I had her was just like, you know, I can see how it's easy for them to kind of get swept up from the world. You know what I mean? Because at this age and the way everything is, it's like he's my friend. I want to hang with him.
Not fast.
I want to hang with y'all. You know,
exactly,
and it's not necessarily a shade on you or a shade on anybody. It's just a shade on I'm creating my own world.
Right.
You know, and that's kind of because I came up with the saying living in my own world with my clothing, but that's because we all are living in our own world. You know what I mean? Like after we leave here, you're gonna do your own thing. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I don't mind still communicating with you. You don't still mind communicating with me, and our worlds collaborate and build, and still, you know, I embrace, you know, the things in your life. You embrace the things in my life. You know what I mean? It's, you know, I embrace the people that amongst walk around here, because at the end of the day, we're all in our own journey. We're all in our own space, and we all have our different experiences that we experience in the different ages or time periods of our life. Different journeys at different time periods in life. And so, you know, just embracing that and being understanding of what people are going through.
Being understanding. That's huge.
And, you know, just coming together amongst people. Like, because when you say that exposure point and seeing their interests light up, like, as a parent, and also as somebody that's big on the community, because like I was an ISS teacher at one point.
Oh, word.
And like seeing the kids, learning from them was what helped me be a better father. And you know, and so having conversations like this, knowing like I want to expose them to more things, be out in nature, be in different environments, you know, and really experience those moments, because I didn't experience that at home, you know, growing up. Right. And I feel like that's one of the key things that is needed amongst the community, right? And so, like, that's why when I said the wellness piece and the mentorship piece, we had to utilize a brother like you and a mind like you.
I appreciate it.
Like, no, I appreciate you, bro, because what you do in the community is big. You know what I mean? Like being able to actually provide that, meeting of the minds basically, and then allowing it to feed it into the youth, bro. Like that's big. That's big. And you were young starting that, like right out of college, and you know, to have the mindset, I'm gonna go get this money and like raise funds and be able to provide this for the youth, and not have a doubt of can you do it or anything like that. Or I don't know if you did or not, but like what kind of are some of the experiences that you had just starting that, just getting it going, and that belief.
It was at first, honestly, when I did my first project, everybody was so gung ho with me. Like the first time I did it, everybody was like, "Oh yeah, like we're gonna be a part of this." Cause I did my Eagle Scout project for A.L. Brown High School. I raised about $1,200 with the help of like the Interact Club and this gentleman named Jonathan Farmer, and I was able to. We did some landscaping on the most like the stem wing that we got from Mr. Murdoch, right? And I remember doing the project, and I remember waking up, like, so whenever you get your Eagle Scout, you have to do it before your 18th birthday. I was literally out there at A.L. Brown, like 6:30 in the morning, shoveling dirt on my 18th birthday to finish my Eagle Scout project, because it was just like, you have to complete it before your 18th birthday. And I just remember the feeling. Like I remember when, like I'm shoveling all day, you know, people were watching me from the windows and stuff, but nobody's coming to help out. But I'm not, like, that's not where my focus was. My focus was, all right, this is what I said I was gonna do. Now I'm gonna do it, right? And then I remember as soon as we got out of school, like as soon as the bell rang, it was like everybody pulled up. Like it was like I didn't have to touch a shovel, and I was just directing people and telling them where to go. But it was just like, I know that experience shaped my whole, just how I went about interacting with the community after that, because it was just such a beautiful space. And it was like to watch everybody there in support of something that was going to help our entire community. It touched a special place in my heart. And I knew from that moment that this is what I needed to do. So it's just like, from doing that, like me getting that Eagle Scout project and me being in the paper really helped me get that scholarship to go to Morehouse, right? And then while I was at Morehouse, I was able to cultivate my mind to be able to go within the community, observe, take a step back, figure out what it needs, and then execute it, kind of step forward. It was like the actual scholarship program that I got, it's like that was their basis. It's like they created leaders, you feel me? It's like they created a leader out of me, because it was just like we did so much. And it's not even just about doing community service. It was about talking, collaborating with different programs. It was about getting out to different like businesses, asking for help. It was about all these different things, right, that all kind of played a part in the overall development of a community, right? So it was just like, from that, the exposure piece, it like I was just so happy to be a part of it. It was like raising money for it. That wasn't really the problem. Like I never because it was just like, because people really like, they saw me and they were like, yeah, like he's been doing this, he's consistent. It's just like, you know, you have to have goals and you have to have values, and people have to be able to see that. You feel me? They have to be able to see you and be like, oh, like, yo, yeah, Rio, he's done this, he's done that. Like I trust him. You feel me? Like it wasn't, but it's like you have to trust yourself first. Right, so it's just like, through that, man, I was just able to like I've never really had a problem, and I know I'm not gonna have a problem, because I know that I'm moving from the heart when I'm raising this money. I know I'm spending it on what I should be spending it on, you know, for these boys. You feel me? And that's what it's about. So it's like, I feel like the hardest aspect is the camp itself, because it's just like I'm on like like this, you feel me? Because it's like these parents are giving me their children, right? And they're giving me their children with 10 fingers and 10 toes, and I need to make sure they get back, you feel me, with 10 fingers and 10 toes. So it's like, I think for me, that's the hardest part. Is just, it's so, like, I don't even want to say scary because that's not the word, but I'm just like, every aspect I'm watching from like, what time they're getting up, make sure they're going to sleep at a good time so they're able to, you know, pull in this curriculum that we're giving them. Like, I feel like that's been the hardest aspect, is like the camp. It's like raising the money is cool, you feel me? And I'm grateful for like the support. I would be absolutely nothing. I would be absolutely nothing without the community that supports me. Like I can't even like, it's like I can't even say that I'm up here doing this because I'm not up here doing this. It's like I've never run a program by myself. I've never, you know, raised this money by myself. You feel me? I've always had help from the community that raised me. You know, so it's just like I would be absolutely nothing without the community. And that's why it's extremely essential that you give back to the community. It's like when you look at an African village, right? It's like the boys and the girls, it's the village's children. It's not like, it's like if they have like 3 kids and then me and my wife have like 2 kids, my 2 kids are their 2 kids and their 3 kids are my kids. So it's like that aspect of community is just so essential, right? So it's just like, man, like I really have a fun time. Like I have a fun time making money. I have a fun time getting out to talk to people about it. Because it's like I'm speaking from a real, like I'm speaking from such a vulnerable space in my heart, but it's something that I love. And I've seen the work and what it does to these young men firsthand. Like I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. So it's just like that's what ignites the fire every time. It's just like watching them grow, watching them develop at this camp and watching them develop after it, and seeing them use the different things that they would use to kind of cope with this world that we're living in. You feel me? So it's just like it's so beautiful, and I'm so excited that this year will be our 5th year doing Operation Summer Explosion. Where the goal this year is to raise about $12,000, and every year we have like a different, I guess like what we're focusing on. Like last year, we really focused on helping homeless, so doing different things like yoga, Tai Chi, different exercises around helping control, what was it? It was like control like situations at school, because all of them are getting around that age of like 13, 14, 15. So it was just like they're in that space where they have to learn how to de-escalate situations, because all the boys are trying to fight and do all this and be the macho man. It's like it's never about that. You know? So it's just like you want to equip them with these things so that they can fend for themselves, because this world doesn't love them. You know? So it's just like it's about establishing that, man. So this year, the focus is going to be like a rites of passage for these young men. So I'm getting a whole new cohort of boys between the ages of 10 and 13. I'm getting 7 to 8 boys. A couple will be from Atlanta, a couple will be from right here, and a couple will be from New York. So I'm trying to get, you know, because it's all about being a lighthouse within your community. You know? So it's just like extremely essential. But I'm super excited to start raising money and start to get out to talk to people about the project. And it's just like I've seen how it works over these last years. You know, like my first Operation Summer Exposure Camp was I believe in 2016. So it's just like I'm excited, like I'm elated. Like I know I'm just chilling right here, but like, man, I can't wait to release it, man, because it's just like this time of the year is always so hectic, right? It's super hectic when I'm raising money, because I remember like maybe like my 3rd year, I was having a little trouble raising the fund. Like I was getting close and I was like, I had to pay for things at certain times, and it was just like, yo, am I gonna be able to do this? But I was like, I got it.
don't worry about it. Like worrying is praising your problems. You feel me? Like that's all it is. You know, like if you like you must believe it in order for it to manifest within your reality. Yeah, like look, exactly. You feel me? So it's just like that. Like man, that's dog. I'm telling you, it comes full circle when you understand that you really have the focus and the power and the energy to cultivate the life that you want. But it's whether you believe it's gonna happen or not. You feel me?
Right.
So that's why being confident in yourself is essential. Right. It is. And it's like this camp and this program, we build confidence, we build leadership skills, we build young men. You feel me? So it's just like I'm just a blessing that I was able. I'm blessed that this opportunity was able to fall in my lap. You feel me? Because I'm excited about doing this. Like you feel me? Like every year I'm excited. I'm like, what? Like it's about that time again. Like, you know, time to raise this money. You feel me? And it's just like I see the boys and how it really affects them.
I let the beat build up.